The airport was a whirlwind of activity, a living, breathing organism made up of thousands of hurried footsteps and anxious glances. The air buzzed with the constant hum of announcements, the rolling of suitcase wheels, and the low murmur of conversations in a dozen different languages. People rushed through the terminal, their faces etched with stress and impatience, each one carrying their own story, their own destination. Some checked their watches nervously, others scanned departure boards with furrowed brows, all swept up in the relentless current of travel. Suitcases rolled behind them, echoing the frantic energy of the travelers. The rhythmic thud of luggage wheels on the polished floor seemed to set the tempo for the entire scene, a constant reminder of the urgency that filled the air. In the midst of this chaos, Sarah hurried through the crowd, clutching her boarding pass tightly as if it were a lifeline. Her heart pounded in her chest, matching the frenetic pace around her. She was exhausted. The long flight and the even longer job interview had taken their toll, leaving her body heavy and her mind clouded with fatigue. Every muscle ached, and her eyelids felt impossibly heavy. She glanced at her phone, checking the time, calculating how much longer she had to endure before she could finally rest. The thought of another layover made her shoulders sag. Suddenly, a frail figure caught her eye. An elderly man struggled with his heavy luggage, his hands trembling as he tried to maneuver the unwieldy suitcase through the throng of people. His face was creased with worry, and he looked lost and alone, as if the world had moved on without him. He paused, glancing around in confusion, searching for a friendly face or a helping hand. People brushed past him, their eyes fixed on their destinations. No one seemed to notice his plight, or maybe they simply didn't care. The crowd flowed around him like a river around a stone, indifferent and unyielding. His suitcase wobbled precariously, and for a moment it seemed as if he might lose his grip entirely. Still, the world kept moving, oblivious to his struggle. Sarah felt a pang of sympathy. She knew what it was like to feel invisible in a crowd, to be overwhelmed by the world's indifference. Memories of her own moments of vulnerability flickered through her mind. She hesitated for a moment, torn between her own fatigue and the urge to help. The weight of her own exhaustion pressed down on her, but the sight of the struggling man tugged at her conscience. A wave of exhaustion washed over her, reminding her of the long journey ahead. She wondered if she had the strength to offer help when she could barely keep her own eyes open. But as she took a deep breath, she realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. But something inside her, a spark of compassion, refused to let her walk away. In that moment, Sarah made her decision. If you found Sarah's story inspiring, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more uplifting stories, and share it with someone who could use a little kindness today. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to life. "Excuse me, sir," Sarah offered, her voice a little shaky, betraying both her nerves and her genuine concern. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she was intruding, but the sight of the elderly man struggling with his bags tugged at her heart. "Do you need help with your bags?" she asked, her words gentle but firm, hoping to offer comfort without offending his pride. The airport buzzed around them, but in that instant, it felt as if time slowed, the world narrowing to just the two of them. The old man looked up, startled, as if he hadn't expected anyone to notice him. His eyes widened in surprise, and for a brief second, he seemed unsure how to respond, as though kindness from a stranger was a rare occurrence. His eyes, though clouded with age, held a glimmer of gratitude that shone through the fatigue. There was a vulnerability in his expression, a silent thank you for being seen, for being acknowledged in a world that often rushed past him. "Oh, thank you, dear," he rasped, his voice hoarse with fatigue, and perhaps a touch of emotion. That would be a big help. The words seemed to carry more weight than just the bags he struggled with. They were a lifeline, a moment of connection. Sarah carefully took the heavier bag from him, surprised by its weight. Her arms strained, but she managed a small, reassuring smile. She realized that sometimes the smallest gestures could mean the most, and she felt a quiet sense of purpose settle over her. They walked together towards the seating area, the old man leaning heavily on his cane, each step measured and deliberate. Sarah matched her pace to his, careful not to rush him, sensing that this walk was about more than just reaching a destination. Sarah noticed the worry lines etched deeper on his forehead, a testament to his struggle. She couldn't shake off the feeling that he was carrying more than just luggage. There was a heaviness in his demeanor, a story untold behind his tired eyes. As they walked, Sarah learned his name was Mr. Thompson. He was on his way to visit his granddaughter, whom he hadn't seen in months. His voice softened as he spoke of her, and Sarah could sense the anticipation and longing in his words. He spoke of her with such love and pride that Sarah couldn't help but smile. He described her laughter, her curiosity, and the way she always ran to greet him at the door. For a moment, the years seemed to fall away from his face, replaced by the warmth of cherished memories. For a brief moment, Sarah forgot her own anxieties and got lost in his story. She realized that sometimes the most meaningful connections happen in unexpected places, and that a simple act of kindness can bridge the gap between strangers, leaving both changed in ways they never anticipated. Reaching the gate, Sarah noticed a long queue. Mr. Thompson looked overwhelmed. "Don't worry, sir," Sarah reassured him. "I'll wait with you." She found him a seat and settled down beside him. She rummaged through her bag and pulled out an apple, the last remnant of her meager breakfast. "Would you like half?" she offered, breaking the apple in two. Mr. Thompson initially refused, but Sarah insisted. He finally accepted, a grateful smile spreading across his face. As they shared the apple, Sarah felt a sense of peace settle over her. Time flew by as they talked. Mr. Thompson spoke of his late wife, his eyes filled with a deep, abiding love. He talked about his days as a young entrepreneur, the struggles and triumphs that had shaped his life. Sarah listened intently, captivated by his stories. She learned about resilience, determination, and the importance of following one's dreams. Soon it was time for Mr. Thompson to board. He rose slowly, leaning heavily on his cane. "Thank you, dear," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You have a kind heart." Sarah helped him gather his belongings and walked him to the gate. As he was about to board, he turned back to her. "You remind me of my granddaughter," he said, his eyes twinkling. "She has the same kind eyes." He then reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "Here," he said, pressing it into her hand. "If you're ever in Chicago, look me up. I'd love to see you again." Sarah took the card, surprised. She glanced at it and noticed an official-looking logo and a name that seemed vaguely familiar. Richard Thompson, CEO. She looked up, but Mr. Thompson had already disappeared into the boarding tunnel. As Sarah boarded her own flight, her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. The hum of the airport faded into the background as she replayed the events of the past hour over and over. She could still feel the warmth of the old man's smile, the sincerity in his eyes, and the gentle encouragement in his words. It was as if fate had placed him in her path at just the right moment, when she needed it most. Could this kind, unassuming old man really be the CEO of Thompson Enterprises, the multinational conglomerate she had read about in business magazines? She remembered the glossy articles, the headlines about his business acumen, and the stories of his philanthropy. Yet, nothing in those pages had prepared her for the gentle, approachable man she had met by chance. It just seemed, well, too good to be true. People like him didn't just appear out of nowhere, especially not when you were at your lowest. Was it possible that she had misread the situation? Maybe it was all just a coincidence, a fleeting encounter that would mean nothing in the end. She settled into her seat, the business card clutched tightly in her hand, as if it were a lifeline. The card felt almost magical, a tangible reminder that hope could come from the most unexpected places. She traced the embossed letters with her thumb, wondering if she dared to believe in second chances. Despite her doubts, a glimmer of hope flickered within her. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to imagine a future where things might actually work out. Maybe, just maybe, this was the sign she had been waiting for. A reason to keep going, to keep trying. The job interview she had just had hadn't gone well. She could still hear the polite but firm rejection in the interviewer's voice, the way her resume had been set aside with a practiced smile. The disappointment weighed heavily on her, threatening to overshadow the small spark of hope she now felt. She desperately needed a break, a sign that things would eventually get better. Every missed opportunity, every unanswered application, had chipped away at her confidence. But now, with the business card in her hand, she wondered if her luck was finally about to change. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah couldn't shake off the memory of the kind old man at the airport. His words echoed in her mind, urging her not to give up. She found herself replaying their conversation, searching for hidden meaning, for a clue about what she should do next. She decided to take a chance. With trembling hands, she sat down at her laptop, her heart pounding as she typed out a message. She hesitated, unsure if reaching out was the right thing to do. but something inside her pushed her forward. She sent an email to the address on the business card, sharing her experience and expressing her gratitude for his kindness. She poured her heart into the message, telling him how much their brief encounter had meant to her, and how it had given her the courage to keep moving forward. She didn't expect a reply, but to her surprise, she received a response within a few hours. The words on the screen made her heart leap, an invitation to meet again, and perhaps the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The email was short and to the point. Mr. Thompson wanted to see her. He invited her to his office in Chicago for a meeting. Sarah was both excited and honestly a little terrified. She had never been to Chicago and had never met anyone like Mr. Thompson. She took a deep breath and booked a flight. The meeting was unlike anything Sarah had ever experienced. Mr. Thompson greeted her warmly, his eyes twinkling with recognition. They talked for hours, not about business, but about life, dreams, and the importance of compassion. Mr. Thompson was impressed by Sarah's kindness and her genuine desire to help others. He saw in her the qualities he valued most: empathy, integrity, and a strong work ethic. He offered her a job at Thompson Enterprises, a position that seemed tailor-made for her skills and interests. Sarah couldn't believe her luck. She accepted the offer without hesitation. Moving to Chicago was a whirlwind of new experiences. The job was challenging yet really rewarding. Sarah thrived in the fast-paced environment, her natural empathy and kindness shining through in all her interactions. She quickly proved herself to be a valuable asset to the company. Her colleagues appreciated her positive attitude and her willingness to go the extra mile. Her clients loved her genuine care and her ability to understand their needs. Mr. Thompson became a mentor and a friend. He often shared his wisdom and experience with her, guiding her along her career path. Sarah never forgot his kindness, the small act of compassion that had changed her life forever. A year later, Sarah received a promotion. Her dedication, hard work, and genuine compassion had not gone unnoticed. She was now the head of customer relations, a testament to her ability to connect with people on a deeper level. Her salary increase allowed her to finally pursue her dream of writing a children's book, a story about kindness and its ripple effects. The book became a bestseller, inspiring countless children and adults alike. Sarah's life was a testament to the transformative power of kindness. Her story proved that even the smallest act of compassion could have a profound impact on someone's life. Sarah never forgot the lesson she had learned. She made a conscious effort to spread kindness wherever she went, whether it was offering a helping hand to a stranger or simply lending an ear to a friend in need. She knew that kindness was not about grand gestures, but about the small, everyday acts of compassion that made the world a better place. She lived by the belief that what you give out to the universe, you receive back tenfold. And in her own life, she had found this to be absolutely true. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Share your own stories of kindness in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content.